Hello and welcome to Taskmaster Talks with Kevin Sullivan. I'm your host, JP John Poz. Of course, joining me, the star of the show, the former WCW and ECW World Tag Team Champion, one of the greatest minds and bookers ever in the history of the business, the Games Master, Taskmaster, the Devil himself, Mr. Kevin Sullivan. Kevin, how you doing today, sir?
Excellent, JP. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Can't complain. We're getting to the end of summer here, which stinks. But what do you think about just the current regime in WWE and Triple H? Because every week almost they were getting 2 million viewers, and when Vince was at the helm, they're looking at 1.6, 1.5, 1.7. So I don't know. Is it Triple H? Is it just they needed new blood? What do you think about it?
I think it's a little bit of both, but I think it's because of Triple H. I mean, if it was one time they went to 2 million and then dropped back, I'd say it was a curiosity factor, but obviously he's doing something right. And sometimes a change really helps the company. It's been in we talked about formulas before and patents, right, John? This has been the long time same pattern, so it's good. I'm glad. I'm glad. I want the business to do well. I hate when guys bemoan and love to criticize. Hey, it should be healthy, and I'm glad it is.
Were you friendly with Triple H? I know obviously you guys crossed paths in WCW,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I mean, I didn't have the little bit that I knew of him. I really liked him. I knew he had potential, and he was very smart from the very beginning.
with him, was it kind of one of those things where he wanted to leave WCW at that point, or did you guys just release him and let him go, thinking that maybe he wasn't going to become a star?
Oh, you broke up, but I know what the question was. I think he wanted to go there more than anything. He's from New England, Uh, he wanted to go home, I'm sure, and he got a chance to call to go.
You regret that he left? You know what I mean? Not like saying like he became immediately a big star, but obviously 5 years down the road he became a big star. Do you kind of regret some of those, like guys like him and Austin and Foley? I mean, losing those
No, I
guys
don't.
ended up really hurting you.
No, yeah, but I'm not one that
Oh, we were saying, like, do you regret losing Triple H and
No,
Foley and Austin?
no. Here's the thing. I don't. I mean, were they going to be huge stars? Yes. Were they going to be huge stars at that moment? It would have been hard to crack back then. You know what I mean? And you can't say, well, this could have happened. I mean, that's what alternate universes are about in Marvel comic books, right? What could have been. Who knows? I mean, the old statement: if the queen was born with a sack, she'd be the king. Who know? Who the know? Who knows? You can't think that way. And it turned out great for the three guys you mentioned.
With Triple H in charge right now, it seems like everything is going his way. But recently, they made a weird booking decision where they put the tag team titles of the women on two females that they didn't think they'd put it on. Do you think that that's just a blip in the radar that you can just get by that quick, or is it one of those things where you make a mistake booking early on and it's going to catch up to you?
No, I think you learn from your mistakes. You don't learn from your successes. And who said it's a mistake? Who
I
said
mean, I guess we'll see. I guess.
no? But who said it was a mistake?
Oh, everybody online was jumping on him. Like, why did?
Online,
Yeah,
online. Have they ever have they ever thrown 50 touchdown passes like Brady? I criticize him too. I criticize baseball players that strike out. It's easy to do that when you're sitting on the couch, you know what I mean? And never done that at that level. But
true.
can you make a mistake? Yeah. You can make mistakes while you're booking. Just don't make big mistakes. And hey, sometimes things go through the crack. How many hours of TV does he got? 5 that I know of, right? You're going to think it's going to be perfect. You're going to be the loony bin. You know what I mean? Things go through the cracks. And when he makes a mistake on something big, we can bitch about it. This thing just went by the boards, and how do we know it's a mistake? Maybe those people, the girls that got the belts, may become huge stars. Maybe catalyst to them to the front. Who knows?
The one girl for sure, I think, will be a star. Is girl Raquel Rodriguez. I think she's almost like 6 foot tall, but she, I think, could be a star. The other girl, I don't know about. That's why people were kind of complaining, like, what? Because it was unpredictable that they ended up winning the titles too, and I guess the fans didn't see that coming.
Okay, Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas. The fans see that one coming?
No, definitely not.
You pay to see shit upsets, right? Sometimes. I mean, these are the same people that are probably knocking him for keeping people down and being too predictable in their bookings. Sometimes you can't make anybody happy, you know. Uh, Bob Dylan, sometimes you got to serve somebody, the song. You got to serve somebody. Sometimes you have to serve yourself. Maybe Hunter did the right thing. Who knows? We'll see let's not be so quick to criticize a guy that's been in the background for 20 odd years and he's finally getting the chance to stretch his legs and put his own ideas down. Did this hurt their buy rate? Is this going to hurt their ratings? He didn't beat Roman Reigns with some kid out of the school, right? I mean, no matter what guys do, they get criticized. This guy should have no critique policy on him for 6 months. Anybody that brings the ratings from a 1.6 to over 2 deserves a little vote of confidence.
And to me, it wasn't even like he got some casual fans to watch. I think he got some of the lapsed bitter fans to watch. You know what I mean? Like he got a few of those fans back.
I think he's got a lot of them back. I think most of them are the lap fans. I don't think it's the fans it's the fans that have been turned off. I don't think it was all of a sudden guys that hadn't watched wrestling in 3 or 4 years or 2 or 3 years come back and say, "Oh, I'm going to watch it." I think it's the people that were interested in wrestling and were tired of Vince's stuff and said, "Oh, let's see what Hunter is going to do." He's done a great job.
Do you think football will hurt the ratings? Because it usually hurts it a
Course.
little bit.
Of course. And they're opening up with what, the Bills versus the Rams.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's a big game.
It is. It's the Bills and the Rams, and then it's New England. I mean, Tampa Bay and America's team, Cowboys. They got a loaded schedule. This will be interesting. If it doesn't hurt that much, congratulations to them.
Yeah, that'll be the true test because we'll see. We saw where it was when Vince went against Monday Night Football with the ratings. It really tanked. It was terrible.
Right.
Do you think wrestling fans
I'm
are
gonna go
football
out and
fans though?
I think that when it fell, that they actually, during Vince's era, that they backed off, knowing they just projected in their own head, well, we're going to drop off, rather than load the cards up. They
Right.
backed off. I think Hunter's smart enough to load the cards up.
Now, you said you're going to make a bold prediction?
Yeah, I think he's going to do much better than Vince ever has done. And I'm going to tell you, by the 6th week of football, he'll be back over 2 million. I'm going to say 2-4.
Wow. Pretty bold. Very bold prediction there.
Yeah.
What do you think, though, like, as far as the excuses that they put out there, though? Shouldn't you just put out the best show and hopefully people watch? Back in obviously the Monday Night Awards days, it was different. You guys are doing better than football, but I don't know. It definitely feels like excuses are like the big thing nowadays for whatever reason.
Well, aren't we a country of excuses right now?
Seems like it.
Both, we're a divided country. Both sides make excuses about everything, right? Everybody's pissed off at one another. I saw, what was it? Roger Daltrey said some remarks 25 years ago where people are protesting at Madison Square Garden last night. Are we going to go back to when we were christened and somebody farted? How far back are we going to go? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And I just don't understand. I do understand. I shouldn't say I don't. The division of the country is because of the social media. Everybody wants to be validated. Everybody wants to put something out there and they get a like back. We're a strange country that we live in. Because people put out stories out there that are really bizarre. And people believe them. We can talk about Dallas a few months ago, right? When JFK Jr. was supposed to appear.
Yes.
Just saying. Just saying.
He never did, by the way. He never did appear.
He was supposed to show later on at the Rolling Stones concert. I don't know if he was. I think he was playing the tambourine with Mick. So, this is, and I'm not knocking them as, you can believe what you want to believe, but we all have these firm beliefs, and we all have, there are some statements people make, political statements, that people bash people for saying and don't even know the history of what the original statement was about. It's just that they don't like it.
Yep. Crazy. But
Yeah.
with the excuses, I heard two excuses this year that I don't know if I've ever heard before as far as wrestling excuses. Well, politics I've heard before, but hockey and tennis. Never heard those two used as an excuse for wrestling ratings before. Hockey and tennis? Kind of crazy.
No, I mean, you're probably a hockey fan, are you, JP?
Not really. Not
Okay,
much.
here's something. I'm from Boston, the original six, the Bruins, right?
Yep.
I've never played hockey in my life, but my brother played hockey, in structured leagues. So I think that in all the major sports, the less uh, fans there are, but they're probably the most rabid, are hockey fans. I think most of them come from, the Northeast in Canada, and there's a few misplaced people in Florida, the New York and New England people. California, the same thing. Like in uh, different parts of LA and San Francisco, there are bars for the Red Sox and the Patriots. I'm sure there are Mets and Yankee bars there too. So I can't believe that hockey and tennis was an excuse.
Yeah, that was kind of new to me, especially tennis. I was like, tennis? Wrestling fans like tennis? I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that either. I've never, I've been to a lot of conventions, and unless Jimmy Cornette's there, I've never seen anybody come in with a racket.
Right. Good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know McEnroe is like almost like a wrestler with some of the stuff that he used to say, but I mean, come on,
Oh,
that's
yeah, yeah,
tennis.
yeah, yeah.
What a like wild excuse. I don't know. I feel like they just throw anything out there as an excuse of why it isn't drawing as well.
Well, if your job is to draw ratings, I can see how you create as many excuses as you can, to deflect you
Yeah.
not maybe doing the job correctly.
Yeah. AEW had like, okay ratings. I mean, not that great, but you could see at certain points in the show, they hit like 1 million, 1.1, almost 1.2, and then it slides off. So they're hitting on something at some points, but then it kind of falls back down. They need to, I don't know if you guys just do that, analyze minute by minute and almost see like who's working, who's not, and then go from there.
Oh, we did, and like my grandma kept it. I never even knew there was a minute by minute. For a while, there wasn't, but my grand found out when they put the minute by minute in, and he would come and give me the minute by minutes. And it was surprising to look at it because there was
So you
some
could literally
guy.
see like who's drawing
Yeah,
and who's not.
absolutely, absolutely.
So what would you look like? Hey, Hogan, 5 million or something, and then the next segment, Alex Wright and Disco 3 million or something. Like that's what basically you guys are looking the ebbs and flows.
Yeah, and you'd look at, okay, what did they have on at the same time? And okay, you had an Alex Wright and did you say Disco?
Right. Yep.
Alex Wright and Disco, and all of a sudden you've taken some viewers away from them. So maybe you better concentrate on Alex and Disco. You know what I mean? Maybe there's something there. That happened more than on a more often than you would have thought. Let me say that guys that you didn't realize were drawing that kind of rating stuff was moving. I remember one of them was Hoovy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Little rating getter. No wonder he thinks he's the juice, and
yeah,
he thinks he's the
yeah,
man.
yeah.
I remember WWF a shocking one, maybe not so shocking, but Sable. They were saying was a huge minute by minute when she would come on the would jump
Did you hear she was the second most watched at one time? Her,
behind Austin. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
that shocking or no? Because of obviously how she looks. I mean, the male audience, 18 to 49, loves that.
Yeah, and they also were in a different time and a different era, right? I mean, they were on that line. I don't know if you could do it today.
Right. They had a lot of stuff. I mean, I remember one time she was wearing a potato sack. She took off the potato sack and she had painted on hands
Yeah,
over her breasts and like, stuff like that. I mean, they got pretty controversial with her. Obviously, that demographic loved it though, because the ratings jumped through the roof.
yeah, you're absolutely right, and that's what I'm saying. They were on the line. I don't know if you could do it today. And
So let's say,
what?
I was going to say, like, let's say Austin is on or coming on, or she's on first, or he's on first. Do you counter program then and counteract, or just say, we know we're going to lose this quarter hour. Let's just focus on the rest of the show?
No, my thought is you're not out there to lose any rounds. This is going to be a 15-round fight. You better throw your best, even if you're going to get your ass kicked in the first round. Go out and throw as many punches as you can.
Another thing, it's a great point. Another thing I wanted to bring up real quick before we get into New Blood Rising was I kept seeing all over online and even from Chris Benoit's son about Chris Benoit should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Just wanted to get your opinion on it. Do you think that would never happen, right? I mean, Chris Benoit in the WWE Hall of Fame, is that crazy or what?
I'm not going to say it's crazy, but again, it's a corporate entity. How do you explain it to the stockholders?
Yeah,
because
it's going to be tough.
I think they get some flack over it, don't you? So,
Big time.
So, I mean, he was one of the greatest performers of all times. Everybody knows that. Should he get validated maybe later on down the line when they're maybe not as beholden to the stockholders?
You think he deserves to be in?
As a wrestler?
Yeah.
He was one of the greatest of all times.
No doubt. I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I saw people online were, not getting on David Benoit's son, but he's kind of saying, "Oh, he should be." He's kind of defending him, but they're obviously bringing up what happened. But I think he's just talking about his body of work deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, not him as the person, obviously.
Well, it's kind of hard to separate that, don't you think?
Yeah, I think for the fans, it definitely is for sure. I can when I watch it because I still watch his matches. But I think for a lot of fans.
Yeah. But I understand where David's coming from. This is dad. Is he training to be a wrestler?
I heard he was, but I don't remember who he was training with, but I heard he was training.
Oh, good.
I wonder if he'll get a fair slack or if, because of his last name, he won't get booked anywhere.
I think he'll get booked. I think he'd get booked.
Would you book him?
Yeah, absolutely. If he works hard, in the Bible it says the sins of the father fall upon their son. But come on, we gotta understand, that child has been through a lot of trauma. If you could do something good for him, it'd be good,
Yeah, definitely. I also saw a lot of people saying, and I was, I don't know, not shocked by it, but I guess it's an opinion and you can have your own opinion. But a lot of people were saying Eddie Guerrero was a better wrestler than Chris Benoit. To me, no way. Not even close. Not that it wasn't close. I mean, it's very close, but I would say Benoit was better than Eddie, wouldn't you?
I'm not sure about that.
Really? Wow.
Who you got to put everything in, right? You put everything a wrestler does in, right?
Right.
Who was a better interview by far, Eddie or Benoit?
Eddie. Yeah, I was kind of I was focusing on in ring, just in ring.
You can't do that.
All right.
because the interview is as important as the in-ring work.
Latino Heat, definitely great character, obviously
Yeah,
too. Great
yeah,
character.
yeah, yeah. And
What
that's
about?
not what? Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
And that's not knocking Benoit's work. In-ring work, he was as good as anybody that's ever been in the ring. But his interviews weren't as good as Eddie's.
No, not even close.
Not even close. Yeah.
Just in ring, who do you think was better?
Very close there. Very close. Very close. I think Chris was much more intense. But Eddie was overall a smoother worker. Chris was much more intense.
To me, it's like you just name random guys, and it's like, could Eddie have a good match with them? Maybe. Could Benoit have a good match with them? Yes. Like Sid, yourself, Macho Man, just like random guys that Benoit had all these Ming, just random guys you would think like, oh, let's see if Benoit, and then he has an awesome match with them. So to me, I always kind of put Benoit a little bit above Eddie in ring because he could just have a good match with anybody.
Oh, okay, but you have to have someone to draw the house. What draws the house?
At that point, the NWO.
No. What I'm saying is, we've had guys that could do great interviews that work was not good, be huge stars.
True.
When Eddie was that Latin Heat, those interviews were the best on the show. He was must-see TV.
Yeah.
And he was more than just the hardcore wrestling fans that buy into in-ring work. They wanted to see what he was going to say, how he's coming down in that car, you know, him and Chavo, him and classic Chavo, all that.
Yeah, I could see it character-wise. There's no doubt about it. His character was awesome, and those promos were great. Even when he's feuding with Lesnar, he had a great feud with Lesnar. Those promos back and forth were great. I mean, yeah, he was, as far as a character, definitely above Benoit for sure.
But Chris was a great character too. But hey, you couldn't go wrong with either one of them. That's for sure.
All right,
And they had terrific matches with one another.
Yeah. Oh, unbelievable. I'll take Benoit. You could take Eddie, I guess.
No, I think as a worker, I'm talking about all over package. As an intense worker, no one beat Chris. But the interview, I'd have to go with Eddie.
Did you ever wrestle Eddie?
Yeah, when he first started in Florida, I wrestled him a little.
But never in WCW.
No.
Why is that? You should have got in the ring with him there. I mean, you're booking it. You should have wrestled him.
I don't know why. It just never came up. But Eddie was terrific. I mean, they all were. All those guys at the time were really super.
I remember there was a match, I think it's 89, when Funk is in NWA, WCW, and he has an awesome match with Eddie. I mean, he gave him a ton of offense. He must have loved them.
They actually brought Eddie in to do the job for Terry. He was not in the territory.
Right.
And Terry wanted Eddie to work with Eddie.
Were you shocked that he gave him that much offense? Because this is kind of an unknown in 1989.
No, you got to realize Eddie's dad ran El Paso as a territory where the Funks worked. You know, that would be like Terry going to Florida and giving Mike Graham a great match. You know, this is about wrestling history. Nobody knows that Gory Guerrero was the light heavyweight champion in Mexico for years, was the promoter in El Paso, and ran El Paso as a territory one time. And the Funks worked for them. So is he going to give Eddie a good match? Yeah, because he knows Eddie's a fabulous worker. But the history, he knew Eddie since he's been in diapers.
There you go. Definitely out of respect to his dad and to the territory, gave him a good match. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But to me, it's like you versus Benoit. Those matches are unbelievable. It's funny. Eddie at WCW at that point, I know I can't picture him having those matches. I mean, those were just intense times, 1,000 with you guys.
Yeah, and Eddie was more, back then was more of a high flyer than Chris was. So I would have had to really adapt my style, and I couldn't do it that well, that high flying stuff.
Would have been interesting though. You against him at that point. You and Eddie, I mean, in WCW would have been interesting. Probably could have got a good match out of you.
Oh, he would have definitely got a good match out of me. He could work with a broomstick, or a passable match anyway.
He would have to carry you a little bit. You mean?
Oh yeah, not just a little bit; it'd be a load.
So you're saying Benoit carried you too?
Well, I think I played off of Chris as well as he played off of me too, because our styles were very similar at the time.
All right, let's get into the topic at hand. New Blood Rising, which was held on August 13th, 2000, Vancouver, British Columbia at the Pacific Coliseum. The attendance 6,600. The tagline, "Our time is now." The pay-per-view buys only 85,000 here for New Blood Rising in August 13th of the year 2000. So that is not good. Where are you at this point?
I'm either diving on the reef off Isla Morada, or I'm fishing for tarpon in the backcountry.
So I'm guessing you didn't see this pay-per-view.
No, no. I'm shocked that you said Vancouver. I didn't know they ever ran Vancouver.
Very weird because they went from every year in August for the 96, 97, 98, 99. Those 4 years was all Hog Wild or Road Wild in Sturgis, and all of a sudden they cut that off and it's over, and now they're in Vancouver, British Columbia. Very weird.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any idea like what happened with Road Wild or Hog Wild, or not sure what happened with that relationship?
I have no idea what happened. No, no.
Because this is just a big change all of a sudden here. And obviously Bischoff is gone at this point because we've talked about this before. Bash of the Beach 2000 with Hogan happened. Bischoff is gone too. So this is a specifically just Russo show here.
Eric isn't there either. So yeah, that would be maybe Eric had the key to the Sturgis venue. I don't know.
Definitely could be. Could be because Bischoff's not there, and maybe they moved on, or maybe he was gone really before that and then came back up for a little bit and then is gone again. So that could definitely play a factor. What do you think about 85,000 buys? That's it.
I mean, it wasn't a success by any means. I don't think.
No, not at all. Is that just very telling, you think, of just where they were at this point?
What do you think?
I think it's very, very telling that it's
Yeah,
just not whatever they're doing isn't working.
that's what I'm saying. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. If you have a restaurant and you have a line outside, or at least you're busy, you can be successful. But if you have a line, no line, and you have 4 people a day, you're going to close your doors pretty quickly.
WWF SummerSlam 2000, which was obviously during the same month, did 570,000 buys.
A little bit bigger than 85,000, huh?
By 485,000. Holy crap. I mean, obviously, most of the WCW fans ordered, or no longer WCW fans, now the WWF fans, they all ordered that pay per view, it seemed like.
Yeah, it would seem like it. Seemed like they weren't being able to swallow the shit that WCW was serving them.
So, really, with New Blood Rising, it's almost as if the New Blood is kind of gone because there's the Millionaires Club, which is Hogan and Flair and Sting and all the quote unquote rich guys, Luger, etc. And then there's the New Blood, which is the franchise, Billy Kidman, Lance Storm, Jeff Jarrett, supposedly all the quote unquote new guys. But it's almost like that already
You're
passed.
breaking up really bad, Pete.
Oh, can you hear? You okay now? Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you now, yeah.
Okay. So it's almost like the New Blood Rising pay-per-view itself is almost passe because they already did the New Blood. You know what I mean? Like the name is already gone. They already kind of went through the New Blood versus Millionaires Club feud.
I thought the New Blood Rising was a horror movie. It turned out to be a horror movie. So
Somewhat, yeah.
yeah, I mean, and then you make a Millionaires Club from the NWO. What? The Rebels? Oh, Fidel and Shay have given up their tanks and their fatigues for boss clothes and moved into the presidential palace and have ordered Dom Perignon just like Batista. Okay. Well, I mean, what the hell's going on? These were the terrorists, right? These were the bad guys. This was Scott Steiner off the chain, wasn't it?
Yep.
Hello. That would be like watching. I watched it the other day for the first time. The Expendables, right? All dressed up and being detectives. Stallone in that group. I mean, that doesn't look. And then you're going to have the younger kids beat them up after 4 years that they've destroyed everybody, including Goldberg. Go ahead. I'm buying it. Yeah.
I don't know. To me, it almost was like, wow, they were trying to make the Millionaires Club the heels. They were trying to make Hogan and Flair and Sting and Luger and Sid and those guys and DDP. They were trying to get, for some reason, it just seemed like they were trying to make them the heels at first and have the New Blood be the baby faces, and it didn't work that way at all. The fans were cheering all the old guys.
Well, let me ask you something. Does it smell like, if it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's usually a duck, right? Does this look like a sitcom to you?
Trying to get rid of the old guys. See, that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. They buried Rick in the desert, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be a psychiatrist to figure that one out. They've been trying to get rid of Rick since 1989. He just had his last match, his next to last match, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
To me, too, it's like Hogan feuding with Billy Kidman. Like, oh, we're trying to elevate Kidman. No, I think they were trying to bury Hogan a bit there, too. I mean, that's just a terrible feud for Hulk. And I like Kidman, but I mean, that's an awful feud.
Do you think people remember that?
That feud, barely. Or if they do remember it, they hated it.
I have never had anybody ask me about that feud.
It's funny, whenever it comes up, because the big event when WWF had it in '86, everybody always talks about Hogan Orndorff. Hogan, and then you'll go a few years later, Hogan Savage, or and you go to '87, Hogan Andre. I mean, they talk about no one talks about Kidman Hogan. You're right, that's true.
Yeah. It's like they didn't even accept it in their head.
And they fought Hogan's not on this show, but they fought 2 pay-per-views in a row. So it's like, man, they just are hammering home this Hogan Kidman feud that nobody wanted to see.
Right.
Could have used Mike Awesome in that spot. Imagine Hogan versus Mike Awesome, his nephew, quote unquote, his nephew. I mean, that would have been something. Somebody decent for Hogan to feud with, but not Billy Kidman.
I do not think that Awesome was his nephew. I think they were related, but he wasn't his nephew. I don't think. I know Horace was his nephew.
Yep.
But I know his family pretty well, and that Horace was his brother's son. I don't think. I think Mike's a cousin.
I think Mike is related to Horace's wife or something. Wasn't that the case? Something like that?
Yeah, it's one of those once removed thing. Yeah, you're right.
So Hogan probably saw him at some parties and stuff, but
Yeah, yeah,
they're not. Yeah,
yeah,
they're not blood. Yeah.
yeah.
So as far as New Blood Rising is concerned, this pay-per-view is, I don't know, we'll get into it, but there's a lot of weird stuff going on here, and I definitely want to get your opinion on it. But it starts off not so bad though, because we have a golden record ladder match, which is kind of silly, but 3 count, which is Evan Courageous, Shannon Moore, and Shane Helms with Tank Abbott. They're pretending they're like the Backstreet Boys or whatever, like the groups of the time, the boy bands at the time. So it's not a bad gimmick per se for heel heat, right? I mean, that's kind of a decent gimmick.
Tank Abbott in a boys band.
Well,
I have
that's
to
that's
disagree
the
with
silly
you.
part. I'm saying the three guys in 3 count, but Tank Abbott with them is bad. Yeah.
Horrible. That kills it. You can't say I had a pizza and the first half was delicious, but the second half they spilled cat urine on it.
Did you ever see him
That's my
dancing and singing the boy band theme song? Have you ever seen that?
no. I like to think of Tank when I look at the YouTube of UFC and Tank and Dan Severn. No, I mean, again, does this smell like a sitcom?
Could be. Could be what they're going for here. I know they're
The
going for quote
golden,
unquote sports entertainment here.
the golden ladder.
The golden record. So the ladder match, but
Okay,
on top
but
of it
the
is
ladder match on the opening match. You have a
yep.
ladder match.
Yes.
Very good. Okay.
You don't like that.
Does it say wrestling on the marquee?
Yes.
How many pay-per-views did they sell?
85K.
And how many people were in the building?
6,600.
Long way from Goldberg Hogan, 44,000, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Something's wrong. Somebody got turned off. It isn't Eddie and Chris against each other in the opening match, or Hoovy and Ray in the opening match, or uh, Booker and somebody else in the opening match, or the Harlem Heat versus whoever on the opening match. You start with a gimmick match, and where do you go from the gimmick match?
So obviously you're not liking starting off with a ladder match here.
No. So what is it? The second match? What is that? A fire match?
Just a regular old singles match.
So you put the gimmick match on first. Don't push it. Coming up next, we got this match that nobody's had before. So you open up with it. Okay.
Yeah. Kind of.
Shouldn't the announcers have a chance? Shouldn't the announcers have a chance to push something?
You would hope so. Yeah.
Did they? If that was what opened up the show?
I mean, they were trying to promote Booker T versus Jeff Jarrett, which is the main event, but
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
With that, it's 3 count. Evan Courageous, Shannon Moore, and Shane Helms defeating the Young Dragons, which is Kaz Hayashi, Jamie's son, which is Jamie Noble with a mask on, and Yoon Yang, who is obviously Jimmy Yang. The match goes 11 minutes, 30 seconds. It's actually pretty good. Just a spot fest, crazy spot fest, but it's actually pretty good.
Fabulous performers. I take nothing away from these guys' ability. It's just put into that silly shit.
So you wouldn't have liked Tank Abbott wearing the 3 count shirt, dancing, and
Yeah, wouldn't it have been better just to have them in a 6-man tag Did they climb up the ladders or something?
Yeah, and they got the golden record, because they're the boy band and they're gold record holders or whatever.
Okay.
So
Yeah. But wouldn't it be better just to have them in a great 6-man tag? Because
I would
those
love,
guys
yeah,
are
yep.
fabulous. Okay. And it weakens your ladder matches, but that's here nor there. Would they put Scott and Shane on a ladder match first?
No.
Okay. Just throwing that out there.
So the
Well,
next, oh, sorry, what were you going to say?
it's supposed to be a special attraction, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So how's the special attraction on first?
I don't know, but those guys, I mean, 6 great workers there. I mean, they're all really good.
Yeah, but don't they are? And I'm the one pushing, saying they're fabulous. But don't saddle them with that match. Let them perform that. The 6 of them are probably at that time and probably till today some of the best high flyers in the business of all times. Let them just have a match. Don't saddle them with trying to get a silly record. That's just my opinion.
Yep. Do you like Jamie Noble as Jamie's son wearing the mask
Yes.
a la Kato from WWF when Paul Diamond had the mask on?
Yeah, very much so. I very much like that kind of stuff. I mean, I named Jerry Lynn Mr. JL.
Oh, that was you.
Yeah.
Just an interesting gimmick, but obviously a good spot for him at the time too. I mean, the Young Dragons, they were good. I mean, obviously they were great, but it's just funny to think of Tank Abbott. I don't know why they needed to do that with him. He's Tank Abbott, you know what I mean? Make it like the WWF made Shamrock. He's just a killer.
Well, you know why they did it? To make fun of him, to make fun of the business. There can't be any other reason, is there? Let's go back to burying Rick in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that a big fucking red light? What's wrong with this picture? Shouldn't somebody have seen that and come to the office and said, hey, we got to look at this. What's really going on here? We got arguably the greatest world heavyweight champion of all times who drew more money, and we got a bunch of guys burying him in the desert.
Do you think he was
that
aware?
Seemed... Yeah, he had to be.
You think was he pissed?
I'm sure he was. He's Ric Flair. Would Hogan gone for that?
No.
Would Nash?
Probably not. But Flair's
Probably
such a
no.
team
I'm going to tell
player.
you, Kevin wouldn't have gone for it. Nat Hall 6 wouldn't have gone for it. Nobody would have gone for it. I mean, I just don't know how nobody thinks that was a giveaway to me. There's something seriously wrong. And for nobody to pick up on that means that I'm out of my mind to see it that way.
And it seems like Rick hated it too, but he's just such a team player. He just kind of went along with it.
Absolutely. He wanted to go along.
Man, that's just, I don't know, one of those things that you look back and red flags, like, don't do this to Ric Flair. I mean, he still talks about it to this day, Rick, that he hated that. So.
Oh, he does?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Good. Good. So I'm not the only one that sees it that way.
No. No. But I think he was just trying to be a company guy and say, oh, yeah, I'll do whatever you guys ask. Yeah. If it helps out, but knowing that it didn't help anybody.
No. Because first of all, it wasn't one guy doing that to Rick. How many were there? They were like a swarm of bees. There was about 6 or 7, right?
I think it was Conan, Ray, I think Hoovy and Disco, and maybe maybe I don't know if Eddie was there at that point or not, but it was 4 or 5 guys from the Filthy Animals. Yeah,
Yeah. So now he's got an angle with 5 guys.
that they never followed up with. Yeah,
So if they didn't follow up with it, what were they trying to do?
to
Bury
me,
Ric Flair.
yeah, to me, literally, or whatever you
Yeah.
call it, literally and physically bury him. Yeah,
Figuratively, yeah. Yep.
seemed like, and I know Russo has kind of denied it, but it seemed like trying to get rid of Flair, trying to get rid of Hogan, like trying to get this new regime by getting rid of your 2 big
Get
names.
ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't know if that's the right way to go about it. And maybe they were older at this point, but they still were very valuable, and you could have done something with them, put them in good feuds, and you got to use them as special attractions. They were definitely still viable because a few years later in the WWF, both of them are still viable, and we're doing big matches.
You could have put somebody like Guerrero with Hogan. And I didn't just pick Eddie out of the ether. You know why I said Eddie?
Mm-mm.
Because I was the one that brought the luchadors in. You know why? When I went to Denver and I saw the Mexican flags, I said, boy, I'm missing a whole audience here. I called Conan, made a deal. He brought the luchadors in. You put Hulk Hogan with Eddie Guerrero, the Latin Heat. It revives Hogan. It shoots blood into Hogan. He's like Dracula. He bites Eddie's neck and sucks that Latino blood out. And Hogan's Latino. He's part Cuban, which no one ever brings up. And his father was Italian, and somewhere down the line, his mother has some Cuban blood. You don't think that would have helped Hogan and Eddie rush him to the top? You don't think the Latinos would have bought a T-shirt of Hogan and Eddie? They could have been eating a taco together or whatever. Or, I mean, come on. I mean, if you watch boxing, the guys that really draw in boxing are the two fighters that fight against each other from Mexico, usually. Eddie and Hogan would have revived Hogan. It would have made Eddie an instant name. Don't you think?
Yes.
And then Eddie they could have put Hogan in an angle where they jumped him by him. Somebody jumped Hogan and Eddie made the save rather than the other way around. I mean, there's so many ways to go. Then bury Ric Flair in the desert and not follow through. But that's just me.
Yep. And then obviously Eddie would be gone at this point. He'd be into the WWF, but Eddie instead of Kidman, I would have took that in a heartbeat over, Kidman feud with Hogan. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the next match is, you're not going to like this one either. Ernest the Cat Miller, although maybe you would. I don't know. Ernest the Cat Miller defeats the Great Muta in 7 minutes. Okay match here, but really weird. So they get Muta in, obviously borrowed from New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I know they have him teaming with the Dark Carnival, him and Vampiro together a lot, but here he gets a singles match and he loses to Ernest the Cat Miller, who I know he's the commissioner, but he's not high up on the card. I can't see New Japan being too enthralled with their big star,
Okay.
losing here like that.
Okay. I was the one with Eric that broke the deal. When we went over my cards, was any of the Japanese boys ever beat? If they were beat, it was beat a screw job with Ric Flair or NWO for an angle to go back to Japan. How do you beat Muta with Ernest? Not being cruel. How do you beat Ernest Miller with over Muta?
I agree.
That
Crazy.
sends shockwaves back to Japan.
To me, crazy. I remember
But
watching this when I was
there was a
younger thinking, like,
statement
what
one
the
time.
hell?
I thought there was one time a lawsuit when somebody that was a booker said he didn't care about the Mexicans or the Japanese.
Yes. Yes. Yep. Sonny Ono had a lawsuit against him. Yeah.
Yeah, and no, he wasn't the only one, but yeah. So that's the thought process.
Because, man, I remember as a very small kid, Muda in WCW NWA, thinking this guy's awesome. And then, then he becomes a huge legend. And then we fast forward to 2000 and he shows up WCW. I'm like, yes, this is awesome. Here we go. He's going to dominate. And he loses to Ernest the Cat Miller. Like, what the hell?
I gotta be truthful and say why it upsets me so much. I broke Muda into the business in the United States. They handed him to me, and I called him the White Ninja. I was there from the beginning when he first came to the States. I was well aware about taking care of him. I mean, he was just brand new in the business, and I never beat him in Florida. And they were very appreciative of that. And I was the one that was over there. We broke the deal. How? And he was the former NWA champion. He had been the IGPA champion numerous times. That's just thumbing your nose at history and not caring. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, geez, he was feuding with Sting from like 89 to 91, 92 ish, and Sting hardly beat him. You know what I mean? It was and Sting's the number one guy pretty much. So, I mean, weird, like the different years of screwing him over, many years later.
And if I'm not mistaken, the time that Sting beat him, they went back to Japan. Didn't Muta beat him in Japan?
Yes.
Certainly did. Yeah.
Yep.
So they just traded on the home court.
To me, I don't know, like, I guess you could kind of make an excuse and say, oh, he slipped on a banana peel. But
sorry,
yeah, I hate it.
You can't give me an excuse. Sorry, brother. Politically, that's not right, first of all. You don't do that to a company that's giving you $1 million. Sorry.
Huge Japanese legend, second match, and they give him no respect and he loses to Ernest Cat Miller. His run in WCW, if I was New Japan, which obviously they ended it pretty much soon thereafter, but they had to be furious with some of this stuff.
I'm sure they were. I know them very well. I knew them very well.
And it's not like he's just some Japanese guy that has no background. Everybody knew who he was. As soon as he comes out, everybody knows who he is.
Didn't he beat Rick?
Rick beat him, but he had a main event match against Rick.
Yeah. I mean, this guy was the first. Bobber had won the NWA title for like 5 days, so 2 different occasions. But he was the first guy to win the NWA championship from Japan for any length of time. And then you do this to him?
Very, very strange. It was almost like, Rooster, whoever was writing this, like they didn't even know about the history of the lineage of the guy who was already over in WCW many, many times over for the last, 11, 12 years up until that point. So, they were very aware who he was. I mean, when he gets out, the crowd knows who he is. So it's not like a shock. You're like, oh, nobody knows. I mean, that's the thing that pissed me off. Like, everybody knows who he is. So you can't make an excuse of, oh, maybe he's not that well known to the American audience. Yes, he is.
Well, it seems to me if there was a lawsuit where the booker said he didn't care about Japanese Mexican wrestlers or Hispanic wrestlers, there's something wrong. You couldn't say that today in this woke environment, could you?
No, not a chance in hell. Nope.
Yeah.
So then we have the next match. You're going to love this one. They call it Judy Bagwell on a pole match, but it's really Judy Bagwell on a forklift match. She literally is out there with a buff T-shirt on, and well, not buff T-shirt, but she's worn that before. But she's in her garb, I guess, her dress, her outfit, but she's on a forklift.
How did they ever get 85,000 people to buy that pay-per-view? There was a gun pointed to their head. Wow.
Literally insane. I don't know where this idea came from or why, but Chris Can and the phrase is all over the place. Chris Canyon always says Judy Bagwell on a forklift match, and it's a funny like phrase, but it's one of the things where you see you're like, wait a second, that's real?
Okay,
Like that actually happened? Wow.
okay, let me ask you something, and I've asked you this about 4 times. Does this seem like a sitcom to you?
This definitely does. Tank Abbott is singing and dancing, even though he's one of the toughest guys in the world. Great Muta is being disrespected and loses, to basically a mid card guy, and then Judy Bagwell's on a forklift.
Yeah. What did they do for the finish?
So you get this: David Arquette tries to cheat. David Arquette comes out of nowhere and tries to cheat. Buff thwarts him, and Buff ends up beating Canyon in about 7 minutes to get the win. But to make it even funnier, it's like, oh, we'll throw David Arquette out there. It's like, what?
Is David Arquette? I'm familiar with David Arquette.
Yeah. Yep.
Doesn't he do a lot of comedy in his movies?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Wasn't he in Scream?
Yep.
Boy, I'm going to ask you again. Does this seem like a sitcom to you?
They're trying to make it into one, yeah. And it's weird too, because where did he even come from? I know obviously he's a former WCW champion, unfortunately, but where the hell does he even come from as far as his feud? I have no idea, but he's out there. He's trying to interfere.
Yeah.
Man, Judy Bagwell on a forklift. Can you believe that? Crazy. What a crazy, crazy time in WCW.
Yep.
Would you ever book Judy Bagwell on a forklift?
Nope.
Would you ever book Judy Bagwell, period? I don't know if you have before.
No, I never did. But I'll tell you why. I saw Tommy Rich die a horrible death in Atlanta when he was hotter than anybody in the country against Holly Race. His mother was at ringside and she reached in and scratched Holly. It was work, but she scratched him. The building went boom. And I said, boy, that was a mistake. And I learned from it. I wasn't my booking, but I didn't know if it would work or not, but I certainly saw how it killed Tommy. And I don't think he ever recovered from it in Atlanta, and then he was soon gone when he was the hottest thing in the country at one time. And I said, boy, you can't bring in a mother on an angle, but you can bring a father in if the father gets involved, gets hurt, like I did with my dad. But you become a mummy's boy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Your mother is going to fight for you? God. Maybe I'm wrong, but this almost looks like I'm right. Cartoon. Okay.
And the odd thing is, I don't know if they were trying to get Buff really over as a face or as a heel, because the crowd did not like Judy Bagwell, but Canyon's the heel here. So it's very weird. I don't know what they were trying to do. Maybe the old Tommy Rich thing, but obviously that didn't work, and this didn't work either.
Yeah, obviously it didn't.
So then we have a 4-way tag team title match here. So Chronic, Brian Adams, and Brian Clark defeat the Perfect Event of Sean Stasiak and Chuck Palumbo. Also, Sean O'Hare and Mark Jindrak, and the Misfits in Action, General Rection and Corporal Cajun, the Four Corners match for the WCW Tag Team Championships, and they win it in about 12 minutes. So Chronic goes over and they retain their tag team title match. Nothing really to write home about here, nothing too great. It was also just kind of weird that the Filthy Animals were kind of interfering as they were the guest referees as well, but there was way too many guys in this match. It was crazy. So 4 corners tag match and the referees are special. It just seemed like a clusterfuck.
Why were the Filthy Animals special referees?
To me, I have no idea. It makes no
What
sense. I
was
don't
the
even remember
angle
why.
that you need a special referee?
I have no idea, but it was almost like get
What was
them
the
on the
angle you
show.
need a special referee?
I have no idea.
You break it up, JP.
Can you hear me now?
JP, you break it up.
Am I better now? Good.
You good now? Yeah.
Okay. Um, no idea, but like Rey Mysterio, Juventud, and Disco and Tigers, special guest referees, it made it for such a clutch. There's like 20 people out there in the ring.
You break it up again. JP,
Oh, we were saying the match definitely didn't need special referees or whatever. I mean, there's like 20 people in the ring.
Why? Why? But why are they there? Isn't special referees because there's been a problem earlier matches?
Yep.
Why are they there?
I don't think there's a reason
Okay.
other than them trying to feud with the tag champs of Chronic, but I don't know. There was no real wrestling logic to that one.
That one. Let's go back to Muda. That one. Okay.
Speaking of Muda, him and Vampiro come out during this match and they try to interfere. So Muda's back out there with Vampiro, his tag partner of the Dark Carnival.
After he got beat by
Ernest Miller. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Got a lot of steam on him coming back out, right?
Yeah, not good. So then the next matchup, your two buddies here, Billy Kidman defeated Shane Douglas with the beautiful Tori Wilson in a strap match in about 8 minutes. If you remember this feud, a lot of interesting things happened in this feud kind of leading up to it, including a Viagra on a pole match during Nitro.
Oh, good.
I don't know if you have heard of that one. Shane couldn't get it going in bed, couldn't get it up, even though Tori Wilson is, knockout 10, gorgeous. Shane said never had that problem before. They're filming him, and Tori's like, "Oh, it's okay." So then they have a Viagra on a pole match to kind of really tease it. So made Shane look pretty, pretty bad. If he quote unquote can't get it up with Tori Wilson.
I'm going to ask you this last time. You're hard to change. This doesn't sound like a sitcom to you.
Oh, it does. Yes.
They're trying to pitch a sitcom. Right?
It's definitely possible.
Hello?
Yeah, definitely.
You're
Definitely
trying to
possible.
cut this up and take it around and show it to yeah, that's my take on it.
And Shane
How
and
far
Kid,
away from wrestling is this?
yep. And Shane and Kidman, I mean, they tried to have a good match during the strap match. It was okay. It wasn't bad, but they're giving it their all here. I just don't think they're given good creative material as far as the build up in the feud. Shane takes kind of Tori Wilson away from Kidman, I guess you could say, but it was just, I don't know, weird stuff with Viagra and a pole and everything that led into it.
Yeah, sounds that way.
So you're against having a Viagra and a pole match?
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be some logic to it. You know what I mean? And here's a guy that you're talking to that had bones around his neck and conjured Mark Lawrence from the ocean. There's got to be logic in it. But if you
Yeah, the logic on this one not good, but the next match is Major Guns defeating Miss Hancock in a mud rip off the clothes match, which goes 7 minutes. So obviously Major Guns, known for her major guns, and Stacy Keibler, who is Miss Hancock, is gorgeous. They're having a mud match where you have to rip off the other's clothes. This would not fly today.
I don't think it played well then either.
Weird stuff. I mean, I guess that they're going for that demographic, 18 to 49 or whatever, the males, they're going for it here, but I don't know. Doesn't look good. First of all, it's a mud match, and then they have to take each other's clothes off just to, this isn't a strip club here. You know what I mean? This is a WWE pay-per-view.
Are you sure?
Maybe not. Not good.
I don't know what to say about that one. So.
Yeah, you're speechless. I'm surprised. Yeah, I knew a few of these would get you. This you might be okay with. Sting defeats the Demon in a singles match in about 50 seconds. So squash match victory here for the Stinger.
Was this Dale Torborg?
Yeah.
He's a fabulous athlete. They could have got more than 50 seconds out of it.
I don't know why it was so short. Maybe because they have 11 matches on the pay-per-view.
I have no idea.
So the next matchup, Lance Storm defeats Mike
Awesome. Time for Judy Bagwell.
yeah, too much time with Judy Bagwell. So the next match, Lance Storm defeats Mike Awesome in a Canadian rules match for the WCW United States Championship. Storm retains his title in 11 minutes, 30 seconds. This match, this was terrible. Just because, I mean, Storm is awesome and Mike Awesome is great, but the rules in the match, so Jacques Rougeau is the referee and Mike Awesome would continually win. Jacques Rougeau would check the rule book. He threw it out. They would restart the match. Awesome would win again. They throw it out. So it was crazy. Bret Hart even comes out at the end and congratulates Storm on the victory. But it almost seems ridiculous because I know they're in Canada, so he actually was getting a babyface reaction for this. But Mike Awesome beat him 4 times, and they keep changing the rules so that Mike Awesome can lose because they're in Canada and Canadian rules, and Jacques Rougeau is helping him. So this was really bad. And Lance Storm told me that he was promised Mike Awesome was getting a big push out of this. So that's why he kind of had to look dopey for this match. Guess what? Mike Awesome becomes that 70s guy, and he didn't get a big push after this.
I don't want to keep on repeating myself.
Yeah, it's crazy. So Storm is the U.S. champion, the hardcore champion, and the cruiserweight champion. So he's got all the belts. He puts the Canada stickers on all of them. He's getting this big push. And he just looked like a total dweeb in this match, getting destroyed by Mike Awesome. Jacques Rougeau keeps cheating and putting the Canadian rules. I mean, it's funny to a point, but it was done really, really bad, especially with 2 guys can have a great match. And you're in Canada, so if Storm gets the win, he gets the win. You know what I mean? So really bad.
Yeah. And to do that to those guys, you're absolutely right, who are very, very good. That's bullshit. So.
Yep. And the crowd comes out afterwards. Bret Hart comes out afterwards, and the crowd is loving Bret. But it's almost like, wow, he came out to congratulate Lance Storm, who looked like a complete goof because of the booking.
Yeah.
Yep, not good.
No.
So then Great Muta is back. The Dark Carnival of Great Muta and Vampiro defeats Chronic, Brian Adams, and Brian Clark for the tag team championships in about 9 minutes. So for some reason, there's 2 tag matches in one night, but hey, look at that. Muta gets the win. 50-50 booking. He gets the win with Vampiro. Now he's the tag champ.
You've lost me completely.
I knew you would not like this pay-per-view. I knew it.
No, you got me completely lost. Was this the last one they ever did?
No, they would go to March of 2001. So, you had about 6 months left.
Okay.
Then you have Kevin Nash defeating Goldberg and Scott Steiner in a triple threat match in 11 minutes. But you would think okay, that's not bad. But Goldberg refused to quote unquote follow the script. So he walked out on the match. Russo confronts him about following the script. He would not follow the script. That's what they say. So then Nash beat Steiner to win in 11 minutes, but they really, really exposed the business, like more so than Vince McMahon ever did doing that. I mean, just crazy, crazy match. And the whole thing was that Goldberg will not follow the script.
This is beyond me. I can't even comprehend it.
You're getting less and less, interested as I go on. Thank God there's only one match left.
Yeah, I mean, I can't comprehend what they're doing.
Could you even imagine though, like, as far as like booking, literally saying the guy won't follow the script, so it's going to be unpredictable? Isn't that crazy?
No, because somebody wants to have the spotlight on them, don't they?
Seems like it, because they do come out during the. If Russo does come out during the match.
Please, come on.
And of course, this starts a Goldberg-Russo feud.
Oh, and then didn't he win the fucking world title?
Right after this, yes.
And they used to bitch about Dusty putting himself over. Okay.
Yep. I don't even mind Arquette as champion as much as I don't like Russo as champion. I mean, it's crazy. Hey, at least Arquette donated all his salary to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To Brian Pillman's family and stuff. So
yeah, Pillman's widow.
Yep.
Yeah.
So one final match here, because I know you're loving this. Booker T defeats Jeff Jarrett in 15 minutes to retain his WCW championship, and actually probably maybe not the only good match tonight, but the only standout match of the night here as Booker T goes over, still champion. But the I don't know, the rest of the card probably not so good, but he wins via the bookend. Decent match there. You figured that from Booker T and Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, and really, my thought process on Jeff really went through the roof when I saw what he did in Rick's match just recently. Jeff is a very, very, very talented individual who doesn't get the credit he deserves. Very talented and very smart.
I always said one of the best deals.
Yeah, and him and Booker would have a terrific match. But the rest of it, I wouldn't have crossed the street to watch it.
Not a good showing at all. It was one of the things that just kind of helped WCW keep going down the downward spiral. You know what I mean? You look for that hump and try to get back up to the mountaintop, but no, this puts you right back down and crash and burn, if you will.
I've seen better independent cards than this.
And you can't say talent wasn't good. The talent's there. I mean, you got a bunch of good guys on there. You know what I mean? You got Booker, Jeff, Nash, Goldberg, Steiner. Yeah, it's Lance Storm. I mean, great talent.
Yeah. But you've killed it.
Yep. So. And you're wondering why Bischoff didn't want to work with Russo.
Anyway.
Right? I mean, it could be the reason right there. Those two, they didn't share the same vision for sure.
Yeah.
They did, obviously didn't want to work together.
Yeah.
So you're giving that one 2 thumbs down. Let's head towards the plugs. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 2Man Power Trip. Check out the website, tmptempire.com. Follow Kevin on Instagram at Taskmaster Talks. And go to Pro Wrestling Tees, prowrestlingtees.com, and pick up a Kevin Sullivan Kevin Sullivan shirt at the store. Kevin, what else you got going on?
Oh, I'm going to be at the Cauliflower Alley Club this next month. And I'll be at Outlaw Wrestling at the end of the month, so I'm all over the place. So thank you, JP. You've made me sick to my stomach, but I'll take an Alka-Seltzer and be okay.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, everybody out there, for listening. See you right back here next week for Taskmaster Talks with Kevin Sullivan. See you next week, folks.